Good question.
I'm a little concerned that that's getting out of hand,
What?
the charity.
All right, we're on charities.
I'll say this, right now, the budget contemplates all of those being funded, even though
Right.
council vote.
And I asked them to do that before we get into the discussion.
I mean, what I was looking at, let me do this, let's help you on, I'm gonna help you on.
Wait a minute. But I'll let Mr. Cummings go for
Yeah, go ahead. He's gonna let himself.
I mean,
It's
you
this
were
sheet,
trying
guys.
to talk, you were trying to talk about maybe saving some money. If you look last year on these, contributions, I'm gonna call that.
One of those big sheets.
Last year, we spent 117,000. Now, this year, in what they have requested is 243, and I think that they've already been approved. My point is, if you want to do some serious cutting, let's just go back, and what we gave out last year is what we're going to give out this year, and that saves us 100,000.
I don't think, well,
Round number.
there's some of these things that, I mean, we are, I won't say morally obligated to, but a lot of these things that we're giving to, if you want something that affects a lot of citizens, it's right in this factor right here. Now,
I mean, I'm not cutting, I'm just doing what I did last year. That's all we're doing. And I give out what we gave out last year.
I don't see how we can theoretically do that, but, you know, if you, I did, Randy, I think we read in the papers this morning. Yeah, go ahead.
Is it right? I thought it was less than that. I thought it was, Mike, I guess when you jumped in and it went from, what are we at from our vote? What is the bottom line from our vote as a council that we agreed to last year to do, and we all did? So what's the bottom figure on that? Because I don't think it's 243.
No, we don't have that figure, no, we don't know.
243 is what I requested to
243
say
is
that we
everything.
had this
And
conversation.
this is where we can get it to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have that number. I mean, everyone,
Val did exactly what I asked, leave the 243 in the
yeah.
budget, but how much was?
Well, we voted, I think.
Let me find it.
Hold on, let her find it.
Yes,
You got it.
And I will point out too, I got an email asking to change a vote on some of these too. So,
And that's why we do this last.
Yeah.
Last this week, last to next
I
week.
don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it after tonight. I'd rather just eliminate the whole program.
150,000 is the number for the survey results.
So we went from 117,325 to
It went up to that.
150.
It's this column in blue. This is what after the survey results, this is what would get funded. There was only the Blacksburg Children's Museum didn't have enough votes for it to go. Princetonburg Institute didn't have enough, and brain injury didn't have enough. And one other tie vote was,
So Marissa, are you saying
Homeless
decrease it
intervention.
from last year's funding amount or decrease it from the 150 that we're at this year? Because that, yeah.
Okay, I have two ways of thinking about this. Is one, I see this list doing nothing but grow as the word gets out. Every Tom, Dick, and nonprofit's gonna want their hand in the pot. I see it as we're using tax dollars and revenue funds to somewhat play, is it right, Peter Pan? We are determining where we want money to go, but I kind of see this as the citizens should have the right to put what the money where they want through themselves. Like, not us to do it.
Yeah, I disagree with you on that because they elect us to make that
Make those
decision.
decisions for it.
Well, no, I get that, but if a citizen really felt strongly, Mr. Thompson, for example, he really wants to give brain injury, well, he's just gonna do that. And I'm playing devil's advocate here, it's not like I really feel strongly one way or the other. I feel strongly about keeping the money low or doing a percentage of the budget. So if our budget increases, the charity increases, say it's 1%, stick with it. Or just disband it all together because it's such a pain in the butt every year, and find a way to help these places that we can support in a different way.
I'll tell you what we discussed in the past few years.
Okay.
A sundown clause where they can only apply for funds for a certain number of years and they have to take it off, which council never took action. We discussed, at least at the finance committee, and Brad, you can correct me if I'm wrong, where we limit the amount that we pay out to maybe they can only apply for a few $1,000s from this. Because that would always lead organizations like Christenberg Institute to come and say, would you donate 75? And if council felt strongly as a whole, you could always do a budget amendment and take it from your reserves to fund that, right? So those, to me, I'm on board with the sundown, where you can only receive money for so many years from us. This used to be, and Mike, you know this, I use this analogy, this used to be a cocktail napkin. They come in and ask Dick or Lance, hey, I need $5,000, and then poof, it showed up on the budget, and we went through a application process. That's why the last one, in my opinion, shouldn't even be on there, because they're not the community group, which wasn't even a nonprofit.
Right.
That shouldn't even have showed up on there. That should have gone through the filter process and not even been an option for us. If council tonight wants to go through each one, because I've heard people say, well, I'd give them this, but I wouldn't give them this. Man, we're going to be here for another hour. And this is what we agreed to last year, was we're not going to say, I'm not going to give you 10 grand, but I'll give you 5 grand. We agreed, because last year we went through all this, people hurt feelings, well, I think we should give them this, and I think we should give them this. And that's why we agreed on whatever they applied. And Brad, you came up with this idea, whatever they applied for, you either vote yes or no.
I think that's, and I'll go ahead and chime in on this and say, there's no perfect system for doing this. I think it's a good system to have the applications and us do it. And guess what? I'm not real happy with the blue column myself, but guess what? I had my say, and I won't tell you which ones I'm not happy with, but I'm not happy with it. But guess what? I think it's the best thing we got. We've all spoken our piece. We've all made our vote, and that's where it's sipped out 150,000. I say we do it. I think the system is better than anything else we've got going. Groups make their case, and all 6 of us, in the case of a tie break, and Mike broke at least one tie there, we've all had our say, thumbs up or thumbs down for the request. And I would propose that we just do exactly what we said we would do, use 150,000. And guess what? I use one example. CI got 75 from Montgomery County now.
Kind of got it.
And I'm just saying, I'm not totally satisfied, but I think our system is as good as it's going to be. And I don't want to go back and take money away from like the library and the free clinic.
And those are necessities.
We all have our personal interests, but I'm saying, I think this is as good as it gets, and I think we should just take it and roll with it, with that blue column, and say that's what it is.
And I think I understand why you weren't shaking your head, but I want to amend what I said about the $5,000 cap. I would not include the regional library on this list for us to even vote on. To me, that's an obligation we have to fulfill every year. I think in the museum, those are all cultural things. Now, the ACE is going to be almost, we can't vote not to fund ACE.
Maybe that's a discussion for next year, but I mean, those all made the cut though for this year.
Right, and that's something we should have picked up the mantle early this year and said, hey, before March, or before Val even opens it up for applications, we probably need to have that nasty word work session and say, here's what we want. Either to take out, like to me, the regional library, they ask for $15,000 every year. I don't think that should be something we vote on as a gift grant. That should be something, that's a literacy program for our youth and adults. I mean, that shouldn't even be in this, in my opinion. So, but I'm sure we all have opinions, but do we want to go
We've
through
expressed our opinions and it's tabulated. And I do agree with Mike that these are high impact. And some of us are more familiar with these organizations than others, and I can rattle off 4 or 5 of those that have personal contacts with. The Our House, the homeless, or the museum. But anyway, I've said, I think this is, I think we should sustain this program, maybe pull out some and say every year we're gonna do that as a council. But everyone here has had their chance to have their thumbs up or thumbs down. And like any good compromise or negotiation, no one's completely satisfied with the outcome, and I'm one of them. But I still think, to Mike's point, this is very high impact in our community. I think so. And if we're not going to support a group, guess what? After 2 or 3 years of asking, they're going to go away.
Can we put this into the retreat to discuss how
Yeah.
to handle it?
In the future.
I think it's a great
I will say, I am sad that Warner University didn't get included, especially after their presentation.
Who did?
The Children's Museum.
That is the one group that I heard from the council member that they would want to change their vote on.
To favorable or unfavorable?
From unfavorable to favorable.
Well, if that swings the vote, then
That's what it would.
Which I just said, this is the way we're going, now we're going, so.
That's what I'm saying. The council members changed their vote.
You know,
Well, the
what
budget's
And
not
the vote
done.
was in prior to this being closed.
what we had on that one was we had 3 votes for it. And I think we had 3 other votes that said, well, I would give them 5,000 or 2,500. 2 other people said I give them 2,500. So,
I'm gonna tell you, if they do what they do, what they propose, if they put that there, that is something for this amount of money, which obviously we will adjust back, because I'm taking it they're putting this into what they showed us. That's, when they were talking, that reminded me of places I've taken my kids to, the Baltimore Aquarium, which has a child area there, or the Coca-Cola, I'm gonna say the Coca-Cola Museum, or the Atlanta Aquarium. Christiansburg has nothing like that. You have, and this is nothing we're going to support, operations costs or anything like that. This makes the mall almost even a more destination than what it is now. That's why I supported them. When I saw what they were going to do, I did.
I kind of wish we'd seen that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too, and that, the change in the vote is from a year. And that's why I changed my vote, because I found out some more information about them, and I think it's a great cause.
And that thing is gonna add so much to the town of
Yeah.
Christiansburg.
Yeah.
The huge thing there, and I have put another key point in there. I think she's hurting for money right now. I think she's hurting for people to donate, and I think it'd be nice if we could show our
Well,
support.
can't she do it though for that? Can't she do it for that?
What do you think?
Can she do it for that?
Oh, of course, she got money there all over the place, you know? That's why we went to, Amber and I, you know about that thing. Well, where's she doing there too? Yeah, her getting the money on the crazy.
As part of the fundraising efforts and the 7,500 fund she opened up. So I believe that was a condition of the funding for last year.
What's that?
I'm not sure if that was ever. allocated, $2,500.
last
But it was conditioned upon she's
So
moved to the mall, which hasn't really
So
happened
she never
yet,
got the
so.
$2,500?
No, I don't believe she has.
I mean, to me, it'd be a condition for the, not for fundraising, but capital. That's for what she showed us, that it,
Oh, no, I mean fundraising for the capital expenses, yeah.
Well, let's try to wrap it up then. To wrap it up, are we all agree that blue is what we're gonna go with this year? We'll talk about all this other stuff about the future, but blue is what we're gonna go with.
If I can change my vote.
And if any council member wants to change their vote up or down and it influences outcome, I'm fine with that.
Sure. Okay,
I
thank you.
mean, up or down.
Yes.
That's just me, but I don't want to spend another hour or two talking about this.
That's why we voted.
Every year, that's why we voted on it.
I think we have a pretty good set foundation by this vote situation, we know.
Yeah, everyone has their say, and if a group is not successful for 2 or 3 years, we can quit
Did I
asking.
hear that, Harry, you want to change your vote?
Yes, sir, right. Yes, sir, I did. For the museum, I wanted to approve it.
Wonder.
The Children's Museum,
Yes, sir.
and you had voted against it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Which will put us at 165,206.
In my mind, I take out A's, because I'm like you, I don't think that should be on this.
Right.
Well, that should be something that we're responsible for yearly.
Yeah.
As long as
Oh, you mean, okay.
So if
Not
that
taking
brings
it
it to 125,
We still got fund days.
Yeah,
Yeah, just not here. It would be a
But see-
line item in the budget
But
consistently.
during the retreat, you really, we need to establish that with Val and Randy that, you know, we want these cultural items separate from the gifts or the grants.
Yeah, we need to come up with some criteria as how we define that differently.
Right.
And what makes them different from the Children's Museum, the Children's Trust Fund.
Right.
How does that make them different? Otherwise, I think we're just kind of,
You can still
It's true.
expect them
It's-
to.
Our election to office is the justification for that. If the people that are elected to make decisions say that we're going to fund the ACE program every year, that's all the justification we need, is it not? Am I wrong?
well, I'm just trying to say, with these groups, which ones are you going to say you're required to fill out an application?
I'd say they still got to fill out an application because you
That
want
makes
to
it
know.
easy, you make them all do it.
Yeah, they still should do it. It's just whether or not we want to, and I understand what you're saying, criteria. What if the museum asks for 50 grand and we're not seeing it here to vote on, but none of us would support it? There has to be some sort of policy where we will match or a percentage increase, but they still have to be a 501c and they still got to show some our application proves a benefit to the community, right? Remember the application?
Yes,
we redid?
I mean-
They still got to do
Yeah.
that, in my opinion. I don't want to, I'm going to approve, did we all approve the library?
I was going to say, if there's someone
No,
else that
one
wants
person
to
did.
vote something down.
I know one,
Steve.
yeah, I'm not one person.
Okay, I just don't see it.
Well,
But-
yeah, I got my opinion, like you said, you have yours.
Yeah.
But I asked a
Well-
question. Oh, can I finish? See, I don't say anything.
I got you.
All right. No, I asked the question, why is it, I guess I used the word mandatory that we fund them? And I said that it's not, but the answer I got to was that we've always done it. And I've heard about some other things we do. It seems like the key words is we've always done it. Well, sometimes we don't need to do things. And another one I didn't vote on, you probably will, I did, it was the free clinic. And the reason I vote,
You didn't vote on the museum?
I know,
Okay, I'm just,
yeah, and those are the reasons, because
well, I mean, that's why we
they
have this.
get funds from other locations other than the town of Christiansburg. And as far as the reason I voted no for the free clinic was, with this February, they received, what was it, $1.8 million
grant.
to operate here in Christiansburg. So why do they need our 12,000? I mean, of course, this request was put in before they got that 1.8 million. So once again,
I guess, Mike, is anybody going to change your vote besides Harry's one?
Harry, so I don't know what position you are on this thing.
I think y'all number 6.
Okay.
Now, you're number one.
Okay.
Can we move on from this? I mean, I respect anybody who votes no on something. You have your own opinion. There's something I voted on. So
Oh, yeah.
I
it
think,
is what it is.
I think that I'm not disappointed we cut the $75,000 out of the institute, but I hate to use that word in the past, but the $10,000 we gave them last year is sitting in an escrow account downstairs. We've approved that, but we've not paid it out to them.
Didn't they have to get matching funds? Didn't we put that
Well,
out?
For 75, they did not put the 10.
Expenditure.
Are we still rolling the 75 like?
I wish we were funding that because it's sort of embarrassing if they do, but it is what it is.
When the
Guess
building's
what?
gone, it's gone. That's all I
Yeah,
gotta
we
say.
voted,
We
we
have coming back.
got to make decisions that roll on, and
Yeah.
that's just part of it. I think this is about as good as it gets.
So if we recalculate this thing correctly, then we're going to 165, 208. I mean, it's something.
So there's
Oh, you
$80,000
changed it.
less right there than what we had in there.
Vision doing something.
That's what I'm looking at too. I feel like that's 50,000.
I didn't do it to trick you guys. I just figured we'd have a more heated conversation about this.
Well, I think it narrows down the heat of conversation to, there's the ones that the majority of council wants to do, and then the borderline items that we need to act on.
So I agree this should be on the tree. And spend way too much time on this.
I know that
It's
you
just important
voted,
stuff.
but I do have a hard time with all or nothing. Because some of those I would have funded partially, and I feel like we could have stayed in budget with what we did last year. We could do that.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
where
a
we
council
spent-
decision, and,
I mean,
But we can
that's where
also
we
say
spend
we-
hours though, you know?
yeah, I know.
Really do, yeah.
But as I'm telling you, I'd like to see you reduce. We're not reducing here.
These are organizations
So,
that
yeah.
don't require operation costs.
Right, right, I get it.
Participation, give them the library, it's something for our citizens.
Yeah, no, I have no doubt, yeah.
Okay, so I think, I'm gathering that after a little bit more, or a lot more cutting, we need another work session. And I think that, I don't know, certainly don't want to do it after or before the next council meeting. I'd like to have another one, let's say if we got a meeting in a week, what if we set a work session for the Wednesday after council? I don't think this is not coming to council, or is the budget coming to council on the 23rd?
Oh, what's the date?
We were looking on the 30th to have a meeting on the PPA.
So I think a Wednesday session, or something, Thursday, the 25th.
Thursday, the 25th.
The PPA, I think the PPA committee is going to be on Thursday. We'd like to- and then make a recommendation
That should be at 5:30.
It's gonna be a long
on the
meeting.
30th.
We do Wednesday, then, although we never know.
First of May.
What's on the 25th? I'm sorry, I want to.
Just the
25th, we have
committee,
DPEA finalization meeting.
just the committee.
For the whole council.
No, that's
No, no, that's just the
That's
group.
your working committee.
Your working
Thirty,
group. No, on the
30,
third.
5:30 is open.
30th?
Yeah.
April 30th.
Right.
Okay, is our work session for us?
Yes.
Same thing, 5:30, something like that?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Just since you mentioned retreat, June 28th and 29th seem like the dates that work for everybody. You wanna, I assume there's no objections, those seem to work, like June 28th and 29th.
What time on the 28th?
I'll give you the times, yeah, it would start fairly early both days. Probably around 9 o'clock range.
In Florida?
I thought we were cutting costs.
Well,
For next work session, are we, Brad, what you mentioned, are we expecting 3 options?
I'm sorry. I was
3 options in the cut? Is that what we're good with?
I just, no, that's up to them. I just thought, if I was them, that's probably what I would do. No, that's just one person's. Tier 1 cuts, tier 2 cuts. How deep do you want to cut here? How deep do you want to?
Well, also what was discussed,
Yeah.
because there was some difference in opinions.
Right.
well, when do y'all want to have the next?
I don't want
it. What date?
We're doing on the,
May 1? Would that work?
When is it?
That's what it is.
Wednesday, yeah. No. Okay. May 2?
That's a Thursday.
Yeah, hey.
May 1st is a Wednesday, is that correct?
I'm sure that's on
It's
Saturday.
on the 7th.
Next work session for this.
Yeah, 7?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
May 7th.
May 7?
Yeah, give them more time,
Yeah, that's true too.
yeah.
What did we say was May 30th or April 30th?
The
That's when we
council
present to
PPA
council.
Oh, PPA,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah.
I had mentioned the 7th as maybe a potential PPA council spillover meeting date, but that's okay too. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't set it as that.
Yeah, yeah. At what time? 5:30?
What's that? missed that one. Is that a work
May
session
7th.
we're doing? May
Yeah.
7th.
Budget.
Yeah. At 5:30, Randy?
Up to council.
5:30?
I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Okay.
So we penciled in April 30th and May 7th, both at 5:30.
April 30th is for the working committee for PPEA.
Okay.
Well, that's
April
council.
30th.
That's council PPP.
Yeah, right, that's what we present to y'all.
We're already going, that,
Yeah.
you'll be presented a proposal, or not.
Okay.
No, you'll be,
I got too many to meet.
Well,
who? You? No.
I think we did that.
Sorry, guys.
So we have May 7th at 5:30.
Just to clarify, when the dust settles tonight, Andrew or Randy or somebody, just follow up with us on these meetings and work sessions. Just have one, get a memo out, and this is what we discussed, just to make sure.
I think I've got 3 dates for you, though. Of course, you've got council meeting next Tuesday, but then you've got the PPA committee meeting, and that's just the committee, the 25th at 5:30. You've got the council PPA meeting, the 30th at 5:30.
Right.
And then May 7th, 5:30, you've got the budget council work session.
So we're going to, my understanding is, and I hope I do understand this, that at this next budget work session, we're going to look at the changes. We're not going to go back and talk
Right,
about
yeah.
whether we're going to put this sign in, or whether we're going to take this sign out, or whether
That's
we're
right.
going to do this or that. It's based on the changes. Is that my understanding?
Yes, sir.
We should not have 2 pages of it.
You would do them all.
No, not.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.